Welcome to Epilogue Podcast, the show where we discuss some stuff that happened on a different show ages ago which nobody really cares about anymore.
Hi, I'm Portponky.
And I'm LeBloc.
Today we're discussing Deep Space Nine, Season 2, Episode 3, The Siege. After civilians are evacuated from Deep Space Nine, forces loyal to the Circle arrive, and Sisko and chums hide in the vents and stuff like that, and start picking off the enemy forces. Meanwhile, Kira and Dex use a knackered old ship to bring proof of Cardassian involvement to the Chamber of Ministers. So how did you find this concluding part of the storyline?
I liked it. It was a nice trio of episodes that were all thrilling, well-paced. This intercut between some nice dogfighting with Dex and Kira, and we got the Deep Space Nine crew on the station playing Die Hard, hiding in vents and picking people off. And it was nice. It was good. Above the average of season 1. So that's nice. What did you think?
I liked it. The interplay between Deep Space Nine crew and the Bajoran general was quite good fun. And the Kira Dex storyline was fun. I wasn't so enthralled by the ending. I thought the wind kind of went out of the sails in terms of what was depicted. After they bring the information to the Chamber of Ministers, the next few scenes seemed a bit
After a build-up of the other 2 episodes, it did kind of end flatly.
Lean Alice pegged it in a slightly pointless way, but he was a slightly pointless character anyway, so that wasn't a great problem, I guess.
Yeah, they had to get rid of him. And the only good thing I like about his death, that's a weird thing to say, but the only good thing about that character's death was the conversation between O'Brien and Sisko, where they talked about how he'll be discussed or immortalized in the history books. And it's just a reminder that history is written by the victors, and it's not an entirely accurate portrait of what happened.
Yeah, it was a nice touch.
But I wasn't sad or anything when he bit it.
It was quite a cliche, really.
But he became the hero he claimed he wasn't. And that gives us good feelings, I guess.
Yeah, well, apart from Sisko said earlier that the most difficult thing to do is live for your world, not die for it.
Yeah. Whoops.
He's satisfied with the second best option. We saw a lot of fun stuff from Odo this episode.
Like what?
He was a wall and a pyramid tripwire.
I really liked Odo as a wall. I don't know why that amused me.
In fact, in general, this season they've stepped up the game on what he's been changing into. It kind of highlights how ineffectively they used it in season 1, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know if that was a result of budget constraints, why they didn't have him transform more. They didn't use him much at all, and he literally could change into anything. There's so much you could do with that.
I think through the duration of season 1, he only changed into objects that were already in rooms, I think. Like a glass and a trolley. In this one, he's already turned into a display component on a box storage container. The wall and this tripwire thing, it's all much more creative, which is what you would expect from someone who can change into literally anything.
Exactly. Unless he's such a dullard that he can't think of things to turn into, but we haven't really seen that Odo is lacking in that way.
Well, he imagined Quark being in jail when the Wish aliens turned up and chuckled to himself.
It's nice to want things.
True. Dax was also more useful than she has been in season 1.
Yeah, already she's eclipsed her usefulness since season 1.
Actually fleshed out her previous lives by her using the knowledge and skills of one of them specifically in a way that was referenced and fleshed out. The only weird thing about that was Sisko asked the leading question, do any of your previous lives hosts have experience with phase coil inverters?
Yeah.
He says, why? Yes, they do.
How convenient.
Didn't ask O'Brien, the engineer.
He doesn't have 300 years of experience.
He only has 20 or something years of extremely relevant experience. What do you think of the evacuation stuff at the start?
It was some nice ego stroking for Sisko after he gives a speech and no one chooses to evacuate.
Yeah, I know, Starfleet guys are all that, so they wouldn't go. But it would have been, I think, better if some of them had actually gone.
Such as maybe O'Brien when he has a wife and kid and she pleads for him to go.
Yeah, she didn't really respect his choice, which is fine because I can sympathize with Keiko's point of view. It's not a very good choice. But no, I mean, he's there saying, oh, if anyone thinks it's maybe a bad idea to potentially get killed trying to solve something, you can go and you will not lose your annual bonus. It would be more, I think, striking if not 20% of the people had just said, yep, I'll go, and left. The fact that everyone stays makes it seem like it's not that big a deal.
Yeah, as if it was the foregone conclusion that everyone would just stay.
Yeah, it would have been nicer if people had left for a while, like a few of them walked and then a couple more and then another guy, and they had some tense glances back and forth, and Sisko says, well then, this is it. It would have been really easy to put in, and I think that would have made it more meaningful rather than just everyone saying, oh, we can do it.
Yeah, I agree. I guess it just hurries it along. They didn't want to bother.
I guess. It was quite emotionally charged seeing all the civilians leaving. Jake and Nog actually, I felt, were better characters than they have been previously.
I sense a running theme with our discussion of Season 2 versus Season 1.
Yes.
And I agree. I'm usually annoyed by Jake and Nog, which I have not hidden. But I like this moment they shared here, where they had to say goodbyes.
They found out they're going to different places. It's sad they're slowly becoming super buddies. No Ferengi has ever liked a human as much as they like each other.
And now they can't nurture that friendship.
Well, they can, because they got unevacuated.
I know, but in that moment, for all they knew, they wouldn't see each other for a very long time.
They would still be super buddies. You can't break super buddies apart.
Super buddies transcend space and time.
That's right.
That's why they're super buddies.
Yeah, if they didn't transcend that, then they would just be buddies. So I didn't note down a lot of things that ticked me off, but there was kind of a big one in this episode that really frustrated me.
Go on.
It's a massive, obvious trope. Can you guess what it is?
An old abandoned vehicle that still works?
Okay, two things then.
I just that didn't even bother me. Maybe because people do that all the time in fiction.
Yeah, plus it didn't really work that well. I did crash.
Yeah, it struggled and they had to do stuff.
But it did get shot about 20 times, and then they shot another ship once and it exploded.
Yeah, that was weird.
No,
Shot was just that good.
yeah. The thing that really annoyed me was the character Colonel Day, the second in command of the Bajoran military unit sent to DS9. His just stupid attitude.
Yeah.
It's so, you see it so often. The guy in charge is well reasoned and tactical and thinks things through, and then the second in charge is just a annoying, prissy upstart that jumps the gun, hides information, and tries to do everything to bolster their own stupid ego. And it's so frustrating because they would never get promoted to that position.
Maybe his dad knew someone and put him there.
Maybe Jarrow was his dad.
That would explain it.
I don't know why I picked him.
Tricky Dicky.
He's got secret children everywhere. Actually, that Nixon was never accused of that. Well, he might have been accused of it.
Tricky Jarrow.
It doesn't have a ring to it.
Tricky Jarrow-y.
No, you fixed that in the wrong way. We don't need to come up with a slogan for Jarrow. I'm pretty sure he's not going to be back.
He brought some fun to the table.
Yeah, he's good.
Deep Space Nine continues with the excellent guest stars.
Yeah, I don't know why it stands out so much from this show and other Star Trek shows, I guess.
So that's not just me. This show excels in that department, or do all TV shows excel in that? And I'm just weird for pointing it out in this one.
I don't know. I can remember a lot of stuff that with guest stars that was really pretty good in Deep Space Nine. I don't know if I'm just unable to recall it from other TV shows because I haven't watched them and paid enough attention.
How is your memory with Next Gen? How does this compare with Next Gen in the guest star department?
Next Gen is difficult because you got Patrick Stewart and Brent Spiner as the sort of two most popular characters, and they're both excellent. So
yeah, how do you upstage Stewart?
Yeah, you pretty much don't. But it did mean that every episode was entertaining, especially because of his voice.
Yeah, he could have just been a disembodied voice, and it would have been amazing.
If you like the plot of an episode, Deep Space Nine has some alien voice that everyone keeps hearing, but it's Patrick Stewart, and they're like, that's quite nice.
It's a purple mist.
Let's not investigate this one. Let's just leave it.
Let's let it roam the station and not investigate it or quarantine it, and let it interact with everybody.
As if they would. Speaking of Colonel Day, he got trapped on the holosuite and then they beamed him back to Ops.
Yes.
Why didn't they also beam the other guys out and just beam everyone that was captured back to Ops?
It's easier to handle just him versus everyone. And they couldn't even handle him. He ended up shooting someone.
I mean, why didn't the Bajoran guys? They had access to the transporters, surely. Oh, maybe not. I mean, they were sabotaging things in a very vague and mysterious way. So who's to say what they could have done or not? It's entirely up to the plot.
Yeah, they specifically limited the number of people you can transport.
Down to just that guy.
Yeah, just that guy.
I like that O'Brien loves combat rations, and he says they give you enough nutrients to survive for 3 days. I get the feeling he's been eating them on the job because they don't let him go home.
Yeah, out of necessity, he has to survive off of those. That moment is really funny, and this season has been really good with the funny moments. They don't stick out as out of place, and they're genuinely humorous. It's nice. This is a nice start to season 2.
Was O'Brien calling Bashir Julian?
Oh, I didn't catch that. Maybe.
I think he was.
Oh, you haven't made any friends here, Chief. Or should I say chef?
Julian! Well, I would have expected you of all people to appreciate the nutritional value of combat rations.
That means we missed some behind the scenes.
Was some sort of blossoming bromance.
Love is possible on the battlefield.
Okay. But this happened before it was a battlefield.
There could have been other battlefields we're not aware of.
Yeah. Speaking of, O'Brien keeps mentioning the Cardassian front, and he even used the term Cardis to describe the Cardassians. No one seems to acknowledge that he's maybe been through some stuff. And whenever he mentions that, they all just sort of pretend that he didn't say anything and just move on to the next thing.
Well, O'Brien's a beehive. You don't want to poke at him. You'll get stung.
Yeah, then you'll get struck out.
Wait a minute.
Baseball.
Oh, right.
I thought Odo might have been the baseball in Sisko's office.
That would have been good. I like that Quark's brother got the better of Quark. Stole his seat.
There was plenty of good little Ferengi moments in this episode, actually.
Yeah, we had a rule of acquisition.
Number 31, never make fun of a Ferengi's mother.
If you apply that to anyone's mother, that's good advice.
Well, they're the Ferengi rules of acquisition, so yeah. You're not going to make much profit by dissing someone's mom.
No, I wouldn't think so. And that's a rule children learn on the playground very quickly, how deep mother insults cut.
The deepest.
To the bone.
Yeah, it was nice that Rom double-crossed Quark, and it was also nice that Quark didn't leave the Latinum behind.
Yeah, I thought for a second he would, and that would be out of character. He wouldn't leave behind a whole suitcase of it.
No, hell no. It's a Ferengi. He'd die for it.
Yeah. They have a battle, and they show Sisko shooting a couple of times, and I think each time he hits the same pole. I'm not sure.
He does.
And, okay. That was unfortunate. I think last episode we talked about how they're never really outrageously bad with the firing of phasers, but that ends here.
Well, they're not allowed to kill each other, so it doesn't confuse the viewer if they just miss all the time.
But he shot the same place over and over.
The truth is, he's always hated that pillar.
Yeah, he has a vendetta against that pillar.
But he's the commander, so he could just get them to take it out, but he wants to have a believable excuse.
No one would question it if that pillar were destroyed during a firefight.
They might question why one pillar got hit several times.
It was a strategical choice. You wouldn't understand.
I don't have a keen knowledge of military history.
Destroying pillars is crucial.
Isn't there some thing about pillars of society?
Let's go with that.
Do you have a word or words of wisdom?
Use your eyes, not your pants, Lieutenant.
Good. Why would you choose that one?
I like that scene where she talks about seat of the pants technology and I mentioned earlier that Dax and Kira make a good team. Actually, I don't remember if I mentioned that earlier. But Dax and Kira make a good team. And I like that they talked about seats of pants and carried that metaphor further.
Yes, it was good. It's just out of context. It sounds weird.
Yeah, that was intentional.
Oh, you.
I can't always pick profound stuff. I have to go with nonsense sometimes, like the foot in the bath, whatever that one was.
Yeah, that was nonsense. I still think about that.
Me too, especially because I'm left-footed, so I wonder if the meaning changes if you're not right-footed.
How do you know if you're left-footed?
If a ball is rolling towards you and you're told to kick it, if you prefer one foot versus the other.
Will everyone have a preference?
Presumably.
So what's the normal preference for a right-handed person? Is there a correlation?
I don't know. I think it's most people who are right-handed are right-footed, but I don't have data or research to support me.
So we should present everyone with a bathtub and a pair of shoes.
Yes, exactly. That's where I was going with this.
Don't think with your pants. I don't think that's really a good way to summarize this episode. Oh no, it actually is, I guess. Because both Cisco and the General were thinking with their heads, and Colonel Day was thinking with his pants. I guess. I mean, I'm stretching the comment to fit the plot here.
Those better be some stretchy pants.
They weren't stretchy enough. He raged out and shot Dallas.
Cisco often thinks with his pants, so he's graduated to his head.
What? We should not say that characters think with their pants. It makes them sound a bit sexy.
Yeah, that's some unintended innuendo on my part.
You devil.
You tricked me.
I'm gonna call it a day.
That's a good thing to call it.
Okay. Goodbye.
Goodbye.